Okay, I had a request for someone who wanted to know how to create a thumbnail for their podcast. Now, I think the best thing for me to do is to just show you how this file is made. Um, this is the thumbnail from my podcast, and let's start breaking it down a little bit, and so you can see what is going on here. Um, at the very beginning here, we have our lightning bolts. And as you can see, the lightning bolts, I actually had tried a color balance on the top here to see if it looked better. So I just added that color balance, which was, let's see over here. In the shadows, I was adding a lot of blue. And in the highlights, I was adding some yellow to give it that kind of Transformers, Michael Bay kind of look, and it didn't really add much to it, so I just took that off. Now I found some pictures of lightning, and I, changed those into black and white images. Here, let me do that real quick for you. I'm just going to go to freeimages.com and put in lightning. And look through here, try to find a good picture with, you want to find an image with good contrast so that the lightning is really bright and the sky is really dark. So on free images, I'm going to put downloads descending. That will usually give you better quality. Okay, so let's just maybe work with this guy. I think this might have been the one that I took the lightning from. So yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm going to click on that. And because I can actually download a really high resolution version of this, but because I'm just doing a small thumbnail, I don't need the big version. So I'm going to right click on that and just do copy image. And then I'm going to bring that into my file. Okay, so I'm going to do Control V. And now we have this. Okay, I'll make it a little bigger. This is just for demonstration. If I was doing this for real, I would probably do the full-size version just to have that nice resolution. Okay, so we have this picture. It's just sitting here right now on top of everything. What I'm going to try to do is make this white and this area black, okay? So the easiest way to do that is to first make this a black and white image because I don't need any color. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-U, and that makes it a black and white image. I think that's up here. Image convert to. It's been so long since I've done this. Convert to black and white. It's somewhere over here. But just hit Control-Shift-U, and there you go, black and white. All right, now I'm going to change this with the layers. The levels. So I'm going to hit Control-L. And the levels is a lot like curves. This is the black, this is the white, and this is the gray. So if I bring up the black, it's going to make everything in this turn darker that's in the black area until we get to where the middle part was. So if you see that, that is going to move everything darker and darker and darker on this side. And then if I move the white over, it's going to take the white and start bringing that towards the center. Does that make sense? Okay. You can do the same thing with curves. I just find it a little bit easier with this. Okay. So let's do that again. I want to change the levels. So I'm going to do image, adjustments, levels. I can do curves. Let's try curves. Curves, and let's bring the black down. There we go. You can pretty much do the same thing. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, it's probably better to do this in curves because you can really get it down. Okay, there we go. And this has got a little bit of gray here, but that's okay. So we'll do okay. And now we're going to do what? We're going to do put this in screen mode. So you only see the white screen. And now, see, you can see the lightning. And we can move this, we can hit T and move this around and move it over here. See? And move it so that it fits. And all right, there we go. That looks pretty cool. All right, in order to really sell the fact that this lightning is hitting here, I put a little lens flare. So you can create a lens flare, and you know, these guys are just, here's a curves layer, here's the text layer for this guy, I'll go over that in a second. Here's another layer that's just adding a little bit of texture, you know, it's only, this is only 30%, you know, so it's not really doing a whole lot. You could take it or leave it or whatever. There is another filter called the lens flare filter, and you can download filters, images of filters, or you can just use the image filter. And what you do is you create a black layer. I think it needs to be a pixel layer, I'm not sure. I'm just going to create a black layer, and then I'm going to hit filter, render, lens flare. It's going to create this lens flare. It's not that great. The lens flare on here is really not that great. So I'll just use 1005 millimeter. Okay, there's a lens flare, and now I'm going to hit screen on that again. And now that will, you can put that over the area where the lightning is hitting, and it just sells it a little bit more. A lens flare always makes things more dramatic. Now you can see there's just a little bit of, you can see the curves here. You can just take that out. There's the right curly brackets, and I can just like block that out, and there we go. That looks okay. Or you can always just go to this layer and change the curve so this really is true black around here. Okay, moving on. I'm just going to delete these. There we go. Okay. Now in the background, I added a couple of more. I added some clouds that are reflecting off this image. I added a few more things. Here is my logo. And as you can see, this used to be just a speaker. And I got this speaker, I think off Free Images or off Dollar Photo or something like that. And I just used that as my background. I mean, it's nothing, it doesn't even really make sense because it's a filmmaking podcast, but I just thought I would put something that looked kind of cool like that. And all these little elements, like the, you know, the bolts here and all this stuff just comes from that picture. So I took my logo, which is a smart object, you can see right here. If I double clicked on that, it would take us to Illustrator. And then I've got a bevel on there that's not doing a whole lot. These are just little details. Inner shadow gives it just a little bit like it's inside here. Inner glow, outer glow. So, you know, all these things are just added. You can take them all away and it still kind of works. You know, it has a different effect. I just sit here and play around and go back and forth and, you know, until it kind of looks right. And okay, here's our speaker, and it's got an alpha channel in this circle here. So if I move this around, you know, you can see the background here. You can see the background image. Actually, let me disable the layer mask so you can see that image. See? It's just a speaker image that I got online. And then it's got the layer mask over it. And this has a little drop shadow and a little inner shadow that separates it. So if I just took that off, it would look like it was just sitting on there. And there's a lot of ways to sell the composition, like the compositing of the two things. One is to have the layers sitting on top that makes all the colors come together. You know, this guy, and, well, yeah, that's it. You know, and this doesn't look all that great, but once you start putting things together, you add a little drop shadow, you add a little inner glow, all this other stuff. It just adds little details to it. Okay, so let's add this back on top. And yeah, in the background we have just, I added a few drop shadows here. These are just black circles that are blurred out a little bit. Here is a, just kind of a rough texture. Here is my name. Let's see, this just, I don't even know what that is. Some more texture. I just add tons of texture. And I add the texture to the wood, so it just kind of like makes the wood look better. And this is overlaid. Okay, so this is overlaid at 100%. Then I have another overlay. Then I have the name here. And you can see that I made this look a little bit like metal. And you just do that with gradients. Okay, so you can see on here, there's just a gradient going from gray to white, and over here on the edge, it's going backwards. So this is white to gray, and that just gives you a cool little kind of effect. I overlaid some little bolts on top of here. Let's see, keep going down. I just added little details to little shading. Okay, you can see the actual wood. I changed the color of the wood by putting a color layer on top of the wood, and the color layer is set to hard light. And that's kind of like overlay. It's just a slightly more extreme version of overlay. Okay, so there we go. This guy. This layer is not even seen, so I can even just throw these guys out. So, all right. Let's start putting it back together. Put this guy on, started shading it. This should be... this is multiplied. This would be multiplied, but I just painted that on with black. I originally had some lines going across, but I didn't use that, so we'll just throw that out. The text. And a little bit of distress, Indie Film Academy. Now this is a layer mask right here. I mean, not a layer mask, sorry, a clipping mask. So this texture is only on Indie Film Academy because it's pointing, you know, if you take this off, I'm going to hit Alt and I take it off, then I put it back on. Then I take it off, and you can see it's affecting everything. Now I put it back on, and now it's only affecting Indie Film Academy. So I can raise that up a little bit, and you can see only that text is getting rough. And so that's one way to use your clipping masks. And also you can see that all of these effects are still being, you know, added to the text. So here's just the text in white. And if we start clicking these, you can see it starts coming together. And then just adding a little bit of this distressed texture on top. Let's add that. Okay, that adds a lot to it. What is this? Nothing. There's my name. More distress. Shadows. There's the speaker. The logo. This is a little reflection I added. It's just if you want to add a reflection to a circle or anything, what I usually do is I'll add, okay, let's say we've got our circle here. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, all of these are clipping masks. So if you see all of these layers, they're all clipping masks into this final layer. So this fits into this guy fits into this guy fits into this. And I don't know why I have that. That doesn't make any sense. Let me see. Let's take them out. Yeah, I think that this was originally supposed to be clipping masks only to the logo part. Well, okay, I'm not going to change that. I'm going to change it now. See, doing this live, folks. Okay. So in order to add a reflection, what I'll usually do is say, okay, I've got this and I want it to look like this part of it is more of like a bubble. So what the way that you make something look like it's got like glass around it is to add a little reflection to it. So I would typically select the this layer, go up above it one, and draw a circle. And when I draw that circle, it's only going to, wait a second. Well, it's going to do a black. See, I drew the circle, and only the part where it was selected was actually created. Okay, so if you see that again, let me do that with white this time. Now you see this part is selected. You can see the marching ants. So I'm going to drag a circle on top, and the only place it's going to make that part of the shape is where it's selected. So there you go. Control D to deselect. And now I'm going to bring that down. And you'll see that that looks kind of like a little reflection. Now to really sell it and have it not just look like a shape sitting on there, I'm going to create an alpha channel and just paint away some of it. So you just see a little bit of that reflection. And I can even bring it up a little bit. So there we go. See, that looks like a reflection. Okay. So I believe that is everything. Anyway, so what you would do to create this is to, start a new file. So I go up to File, New, and let me see what the dimensions are on this. Image size. Okay, pixels. This is 1400 by 1400. Okay. Now that's how you would start. You would just create a document that's 1400 pixels by 1400 pixels. Then you just start building stuff. You start putting stuff together. When I created this, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. And I actually started without the, I just was like, okay, I want to do something that's kind of like wood and looks rustic or whatever. So I did the wood background. And then I had it looking like, kind of like this for a while. And eventually I was like, okay, well, this kind of looks, and then I started adding more texture. So it looked like this for a while. And then I said, okay, well, I want to roughen it up a little bit more. I want to look, make it look more dramatic. So what can I do? I guess I'll add some lightning bolts to it, which of course makes no sense, but it just adds drama to it. So I added some lightning bolts over here, and then I added a lens flare, like right where it's touching it. And the lens flare makes it look like the light is reflecting off of the metal here, so it kind of gives it that cool look. And that's kind of what we ended up with. And I tried to, mix it all together with my curves. Actually, this should be on the very top. And this is pretty much what my podcast looks like now. So I hope that's been helpful. And all right, thanks a lot.